student athletes Destiny Leo and Brittany Moore and head coach Chris Kilsmeyer. We'll begin with an opening statement from Coach Kilsmeyer, and we'll just ask that if you have a question, please raise your hand. We have a microphone, and we'll pass that around. Please identify yourself with name and affiliation before asking it. Coach, if you could make an opening statement, please.
Well, first off, thank you to the NCAA and everything that a lot of people put into making a great student-athlete experience, and we certainly didn't play the way we wanted to play today, but the experience was phenomenal. Villanova is really, really good, very well coached, very experienced. You can tell they're on a mission. My biggest fear about today was getting our players to settle in and really play the way we're capable of playing prior to being down too much where we had to turn it ugly and kind of chase from behind. And we were able to show a lot of fight and toughness in the second half. Very proud of who our players are and showing their character and their fight. But, we're a lot better basketball team than what we showed today. You certainly got to give Villanova a lot of credit with that. But, we just didn't handle the moment quite as well as what I had hoped. And, we'll learn from this as a program and certainly grow and get better from it.
Questions for the student athletes, please. Down in front, Howard.
Hi, Howard Megdal, the Next, and Locked On Women's Basketball. Congratulations to you both on the season that you had. Obviously, it was a lot of work to get here, to beat Green Bay, to make it to the NCAA tournament. Now, as you kind of take this forward, I'm wondering what each of you would like to know that you didn't know at the start of this game heading into next year, the next time you go back to the NCAAs.
I think I would say something that I would like to know, for next year is just the different type of game it is against, a bigger opponent than we usually play in the Horizon League. It's a quicker game. There's taller athletes. It's just a little bit different than the games we usually play.
And Brittany?
Well, for me, this is my final year, so there won't be a next time for me. But if I could come back and do it again, I think for me, I'd just like to see the ball going a little more.
Thank you both.
And we have one right here, Terry.
Hi, Terry Tui from Delaware County Times. Brittany, they seem to really put a lot of attention on you with Maddie. Did their defense surprise you a little, especially Maddie's defense? Or
No, not really. Honestly, I was kind of honored to have Maddie guarding me. I was like, okay, I feel kind of important, But no, it didn't really bother me. I think if anything, just for me, it was just putting the ball in the hole. Really, it was just one of those days.
Dan?
Dan Gelston, the Associated Press, for either player. Did anything Maddie do to you? I'm sure you watched some tape on her coming into this game, or maybe watched her games this year. Did anything she do surprised you, or can you get a better understanding of what makes her so tough?
We knew she was a great player before the game, but tonight we got to see it firsthand. I think she does a really good job of just finishing up high. She's automatic from that low post area. Yeah.
Questions for the student athletes? John, over here.
It's John Marks from the Cleveland Plain Dealer. You guys made the first shot, and I think both teams had struggled in that first quarter before they got going. What changed? What happened there that really had set the tone for the game? Destiny.
I think after we hit that first shot, I think that we really weren't settled in that much. I think towards the second half we kind of settled in a little bit and started playing our game a little bit more. But I think that if we would have came into the game doing more of what we usually do, maybe we would have had a different outcome.
And at halftime down, what are you saying to yourselves down 21 points there, knowing that you're playing in their place and how tough that's going to be?
Just keep fighting.
We have one down here. Mike.
Mike Jensen.
There you go. Mike.
Brittany, same question that was Destiny answered. Seeing Maddie in person as opposed to on film, what's different in person?
I don't think anything's really different except just actually seeing it in person. Like Destiny said, she has a very high release, so I actually admire that. That's really cool. Like, if I could do that, I would do that. But just seeing her in action, I think that was really the biggest thing.
Any other questions for the student athletes? Thank you. We'll excuse the student athletes and take additional questions for Coach Kilsmeyer. And we'll go right here first to Mike. You got the microphone, so. Thank you.
Chris, it's a Maddie question. Can you say how much zone do you typically play during the year, and what kind of wrinkles did you try to throw at Secret?
Yeah, well, we're almost a zone exclusive team, and we've really felt like if we could speed them up and kind of force them out of the top of the key area and try to extend the ball backwards instead of downhill, we'd be able to defend them. Then they don't see a lot of zone, and so it was really hard to kind of get a high probability of what we were going to see today outside the common sense that Maddie was going to get a lot of shots and score a lot, regardless of how well we defend her, if we let her catch the ball a lot. We need to do a better job of keeping her out of space. She was able to get the ball in the mid-post, high-post area a lot more than what we wanted. But we also wanted to make sure that, we did a good job with 3, 23, 32, and 4. And, our focus was more so about those kids than Maddie. We knew Maddie was going to get 20, and I hope she didn't get 35. But, you can't stop her. Anybody that thinks they can is wasting too much time trying to throw too much at her because she's that good. So we really wanted to focus on the others. And, if you look at, 4's got 3 threes, 32 got 3 threes, and she doesn't shoot it all that well. And she did tonight. They hit a bunch of 3 balls that we made mistakes on. Those 3 balls that 4 hit in the corner early in the game were just big mistakes by our defense that we don't normally make. And that kind of really got us down, and then we got a little bit frustrated, and we just didn't handle the execution of our game plan the way we needed to. But, lots of teams this year against them haven't. So let's give Villanova a lot of credit because they're really, really good. And I knew, and I witnessed it, they were just a really focused team. They're going to be a tough out in this tournament because they got so much experience and toughness that just wins this time of year. I could see it on tape. I got it from everybody that I talked to about them, and they're a special team. They got a special thing going here.
There's one over here for Terry. Mike.
Hey, Coach, Terry Toohey from the Delco Times. So much attention is paid to Maddie, and rightfully so, for her prowess. Does their defense get overlooked a little bit?
Well, they're good defensively because they're long and they're athletic. And they got a shot blocker inside. They got a lot of size and length on the perimeter that, we don't normally see quite that much. And I think that really affected us mentally because we were able to attack them and get downhill and do what we do. We shoot a lot of free throws. We've shot more free throws than almost any team in the country. And we shot 22 tonight, but most of them came late when our kids were a little bit more relaxed and ready to attack. And the game came down to we made too many mistakes early. We got out of sync, and I just couldn't get them to settle down and play in the moment. And that's what really good teams do. That's also what the moment can do to you.
Coach Howard Megdal, the Nets and Locked On Women's Basketball. In terms of Destiny and the year she had, or the season she had, and the time tonight to go 25 points in a game like this and do it efficiently, she was already a hair away from 50, 40, 90 for you this year, but to do it in a big game, what do you think we learned about what next level there is for her to reach next season?
Well, maybe the national scene learned it. I didn't learn anything. She'd been doing this for 3 years, and she most of the time is at her best on the biggest stage. And so Destiny was Destiny tonight. I think that there's probably a lot more people that now really know how good she is, that she's not just, she's a great player, and she gets so much attention in our league that some nights it's hard for her to get the shots that we're trying to get for her, and she's okay with that. And how many great players are okay with that? You know, if she's got to play facilitator that night and make everybody around her better, she does it with the biggest smile on her face. And a lot of kids don't operate that way. She's just a really, really special person, heck of a basketball player. But her basketball IQ is off the charts. And she wants to play professionally. She wants to coach someday. And, you know, I'm glad that I have a part of the journey with her, because she's the future of the game, not just as a player, but, you know, as a coach. We need good young coaches in this game, and she's got it, and she's all in with it.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it.
We're back here to David, and then over you to John.
David Melanger with Sports Talk Philadelphia. When you were preparing to face Villanova this week, did anything stick out about them that you saw here today? And secondly, what advice would you give to the other teams about getting ready to play Villanova?
Stay at the hotel. No, it just, you got to handle the moment in college athletics. And we played probably the best game of the year against Green Bay in Indy. And so relaxed, so confident, so sure of ourselves. And we weren't that team today. So why? If we all had the answer to that, you know, whoever had the answer to it would make a lot of money, because everybody be buying it. They're just really good. And it just goes back to the same thing I've been saying. They're so experienced. They're just not going to make many mistakes. I'm proud about how we turn them over, because they don't turn the ball over at all. And we turned them over 16 times and scored 19 points off that and got free throw line 22 times. That's what we do. And if you had told me we had those stats at the beginning of the game or the beginning of the day, I think, well, we probably won, or at least the game was really, really close. But we just made too many mistakes in that first half, where they got too many shots the way they are comfortable getting shots, and we didn't force them out of that. Mistakes by us, but also great execution by them. Let's give them a lot of credit.
Over here.
They also, I think, beat you on the boards 30-12 in the first half. What is that? Just their size, or what was going on there?
I think that was the moment again. You know, we're a +7 rebounding team. Villanova's a +1. We knew that they were better rebounding than a +1 on the year, but, you know, we felt like that was something that we really wanted to try to exploit on them, and our front line just didn't get on enough balls early in the game. And again, I just feel, you know, you just don't want regret in this business. And, you know, I know we're a better basketball team than what we showed today. And I'm disappointed that we didn't represent the Horizon League better, because we've got a powerful league and a lot of really, really good teams. And I felt like we were really battle tested to come into an environment and show, you know, the best of us. But unfortunately, we just didn't have it today. And that's the way it goes. And you have to learn and grow from it, and figure out how to be better the next time the moment comes.
Could you sense early that it wasn't clicking, or was there a point when you?
Well, they got a few open shots early in the game that we don't normally give to them, and they missed them. So I was like, okay, this is giving us time here to get it figured out. And then once they started to hit them, because we were continuing to make mistakes, it just kind of funneled on us. And I kept reminding them in the huddle that we got to go now. We can't wait. And we just couldn't turn it on when we needed to. I think, you know, you're down and you're coming out of the half, and the whole focus is, okay, let's just fight. That's the only thing we're thinking about, is let's fight. Then you don't think about the outcome. You don't think about everything that you want. And you forget about how to do your job right if you're thinking about the outcome. And that's what we did in the first half.
Thank you, Coach. Now by Villanova head coach Denise Dillon and student athletes Maddie Segrist and Bella Runyon. Once again, please raise your hand. We'll get the microphone to you and identify yourself by name and affiliation. We'll start with a statement from Coach Dillon, and then we'll go for questions for the student athletes, excuse them, and come back to questions for Denise.
All right. Well, extremely excited and proud of this group coming in here. Know it would be a great environment and coming out ready. We certainly set the tone from the beginning and did everything necessary to advance here on our home court. So looking forward to that same energy on Monday night. And credit to Cleveland State for continuing to battle. You know, they didn't let up, and that was a lesson we had talked about and addressed, and the group responded to that as well.
Questions for the student athletes, just raise your hand and we'll get the microphone to you. We'll go up front here to Howard. We'll start with you and then go to Terry.
Hi, Howard Magdal from the Next and Locked On Women's Basketball. Question for each of you, just in those moments before you were coming out on the court, you know, are you thinking about the last loss in your mind, of the fact that, you know, you were, that you lost before you came out? That was just something that's rarely happened this season. Did you let that power you to get off to the start that you both did tonight?
Not really. I mean, I think, you know, having a week and a half or whatever it was in between games, you know, was good. You could let go of that game. You know, you always think, you know, it's something, you know, you use as fuel, but just trying to focus on what we had to do tonight, knowing that Cleveland State's a really good team.
I agree. I think having the week between the Big East tournament and then today allowed our team to let go of that loss and really focus on today. And our coaches were really on us about one game at a time, stay in the moment, be in the present, and we're focusing on Cleveland State all week. And then after we win, we're going to focus on the next opponent.
And then just to that moment, where you guys, was there a moment where, you know, to be hosting, to be able to experience the kind of the full house like this in the NCAA tournament, that you'll take away from that moment?
Yeah, I mean, this is once in a lifetime experience. I mean, we had this type of crowd at our UConn game at home, but to see the support show out for the women's side is a really cool experience, and I'm never going to forget this game and the next one with the full crowd.
Thank you both.
Terry?
Terry Tui from the Delco Times. Maddie, so much attention is on your scoring and all the records. Does your defense get overlooked?
I think so. I mean, personally, I think so. Yeah, but just trying to focus on, you know, whatever I need to do on the defensive end. I think the biggest area I've grown is like not fouling, like after like you miss a shot. I think that's something, you know, I did as a freshman and sophomore, and it used to just like compound, and then you're sitting on the bench with 2 fouls in the first half. And I think, you know, the biggest area for me is, you know, trying to alter shots, but you don't have to block every shot in the first quarter, and just kind of trying to keep that mentality.
And what did you do with Brittany Moore? Would you try to deny her or just try to keep the ball out of her hands?
Yeah. She's a great player. She's a great shooter, so knowing that I had to use my length against her and then just trying to force her into where the help was.
Questions? And we have one in the back.
David Melandro, Sports Talk Philadelphia. Question for Maddie. Can you just talk about that stretch in the second half where you were just going off at one point? Cleveland State just had no answer for you.
I think just just trying to move throughout the zone, and you know, just trying to find my open teammates, and then they always do a great job of finding me. It's hard to guard a moving target, as Coach always says, so just trying to keep moving no matter what.
And overall, how would you say the fan support was for today?
Oh, it was huge. Just so exciting, you know, knowing, you know, we went to NCAA tournament last year and we were so happy to be there, but to play at home is just, you know, something, you know, I'll always cherish. And then now to have another game to play at home, it's huge.
Questions? One in the front here.
Owen McHugh, City Basketball Love. Bella, when Caitlin gets going like she did in that end of the first quarter, what's that do? And have you played with her for a little while, or?
We never played together, but cause she was a year younger than me. But I've known her. But we've grown to be best friends. So when she is going off, it just hypes me even more. So I think we were feeding off of each other's energy tonight, and it was just a really cool feeling, like the moments we had assisting each other tonight.
Questions? We have Megan back here.
Megan Moorhart with the Philadelphia Inquirer. Bella, when you're playing defense, you usually have this look in your eye, and tonight you were playing defense that you're on Leo. What's your mindset when you're guarding the other team's best player? Because it's an assignment you have a lot.
What Denise says, don't let her touch the ball, and just don't let her, because the less she touches the ball, the less she's going to score. And I mean, she still put up 25 on me, but I did my best. She's a really good player. She gets her shot off really fast. But yeah, deny her the ball, don't let over half court, and we even game plan was to before half court. So yeah.
Over here to Dan.
Dan Gelson, Associated Press. I mean, Maddie, your milestones take up most of the game notes. But I'm wondering where 1,000 in one season rank for you personally. I mean, you're only the 5th woman to ever reach that total, and what does that mean to you?
Yeah, it's definitely something that I never even thought about. I never thought that was an achievable goal. So yeah, I mean, it means a lot. I'm really glad. We won the game, and so it's better when you win when you get a milestone than when you lose and you get one. But yeah, it's something I'll definitely think about. Probably think about it after the season. But
Any other questions for these student athletes? Mel?
I'll address the other one. Having your name at this hour, Mel Greenberg. This hour, continuing the 20 or more streak, and now your name is with Kelsey Plum, and how that feels. And you got a shot, obviously, to pass it on Monday night.
yeah, I mean, she's a great player. So just to have your name in the same category as someone like that is such an honor.
Excuse me.
Maddie, just the extent to which you're on the front page of the Inquirer, you are, in all these different ways resonating in a way that we haven't necessarily seen from the Villanova women's program. I just wonder what that means to you, what the significance of it is for you to be that figure.
I mean, I'm so glad that our team is getting so much publicity this year, and that, women's sports are they're really hot right now, and women's basketball is really, continuing to take off. So whatever I could do to help my team and to help, all the women who play basketball and all the young girls, if they could see somebody like that and look up to that. And I always try to remind myself that when sometimes it gets seems like it's a lot and it's a little too much, and then I just remember if you can impact one little kid's life, then it's worth it.
Well, last one, Dan.
I think the crowd was loudest when you hit that 3 right after she hit the 3-point play going into the timeout. She hit the 3 big threes today. I guess, how important, I guess maybe sometimes people think you do a lot, but what does it mean to have, her and the rest of your teammates come up and be able to hit those big threes just like she did today?
I mean, it's huge. I couldn't be more proud of my teammates when they hit an open look like that, and it just, that run in the second quarter, it just felt like everything was going in, where the first quarter felt like nothing was going in. So it's just so exciting, and I couldn't be more proud of Bella and Caitlin coming off the bench and being able to hit that many threes is just so impressive.
Maddie and Bella, we thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll take questions for Coach Dillon. Go ahead, Howard. Where's the microphone at? Oh, right up here.
Coach, Howard Megdal, the next. Congratulations on the win.
Thank you.
Having Maddie in the game down the stretch,
Yeah.
they're ahead by 30. But I remember talking to you media day about the fact that it's basically impossible to take her out of the game. Take me through just sort of what, if any, conversation you even have at this point. Is it just she knows her limits and you just kind of go along with that?
Yeah, well, it was obviously we had that stretch in the third quarter. We were able to give Maddie some rest, but the reality is we're looking to advance. So you need your top players on the floor just to continue to learn within the experiences that they're facing. And as I said, Cleveland State didn't let up, so it was a matter of just keeping that group out there in order to finish the game off. So she understands exactly what needs to happen, and as we say on the defensive end, that's been her growth. When she's locked into what she has to do there, then good things happen for us.
And I guess that's the flip side. I think Gino has this quote about that, the great players excel when the good players get tired, is the fact that she just doesn't seem to get
for sure.
tired.
Exactly.
What she just,
yes.
as great as she is.
And that's it, just preparing yourself. You train to play at that pace every time you're on the floor. And that's certainly something Maddie has done, and it's not physically, it doesn't happen. She just keeps moving, keeps going, and wants a little bit more.
We'll go here to Terry and then over to Mike.
Hey, Denise, Terry
Terry.
Tilley from the Delco Times. You know, does your team defense, because of Maddie, maybe get overlooked and not get the credit you feel it deserves?
Well, I think it's just us understanding. This group knows how important it is for us to be disciplined on the defensive end, take away some of the tendencies on the other side. It was something we talked about coming into this NCAA tournament, saying let's not lose our identity. And they know it, like defense is. Like that's what keeps us competitive, that keeps us in games. And, rebounding can separate you a little bit, but putting the ball in the basket is a huge piece of this equation, and they know Maddie does it better than anybody.
You know, did your defense kind of keep you in the game early when neither team was making
Yes,
shots?
exactly. So that's where I said they came ready to play, knowing, I think the emotions of a game like this and the environment, like yes, you're excited about it, but you got to be patient, settle in a little bit for shots. And what we had mentioned to them for the game was just recognize that it was a good shot. Let's not try and do something else on the offensive end. Continue just to work the offense until shots start falling for us. But on the defensive end, you got to be disruptive, and they bought into that and did just that from the start.
Down to Mike here.
Mike Jensen, Philadelphia Inquirer. Denise, you mentioned the other day about Bella can put a little pressure on herself. Obviously, you know the defensive effort you're always going to get from her, but what do you think it means to her to see the ball go in the basket a couple times?
It's huge, and no better time than now. We've seen it this season in some spurts, and we always said like Bella's like an X factor for us. You know what you're going to get, that spark on the defensive end, but I just think her offensive game, she's capable of doing some good things. And today was finding open spots and taking the shots, but she has to continue just to recognize like her teammates are behind her. She can continue to do really good things on both ends of the floor.
And can you just comment a little bit about, okay, you don't see a zone a lot, but
Right.
how, you can get Maddie to her spots against the zone.
Yeah, and I was knowing going into this game, again, we hadn't seen zone all year, that it would happily, we had a week and a half to prepare for it, but you knew Maddie and Lucy would find the ball. Like they would find open spots to get some shots. And that did work in our favor with Maddie, but it was really good that the other players like really zoned in, lack of a better term, but on what needed to be done to get open looks. Caitlin Oriole really started that off the bench, like getting the corner jumper, knowing where they like shooting from, and you can do that against the zone. So it was, and I got to go with Christina, who rebounded the heck out of the ball, Elsie, early, so she just continued on that to give us some of those extra possessions.
Right here.
McHugh City Basketball Love. Mentioned Caitlin, Lucy. There's like like southeastern PA and Jersey, a flair to this team. How special does that kind of add? That like a group of local players is really helping elevate this program on a national stage.
Oh, sure. I mean, it's always been part of Villanova basketball, getting some of the top players in the area. And I think that's what makes it great. You have some of the ones who battle. If you can get some of the best from, that East Coast region, then you're in good shape, especially the ones locally, just to get that support you have from the crowd and all them going. So continuing to grow the game within, and you count on some of the high schools to keep us going.
Back to David there behind you.
David Melandra with Sports Talk Philadelphia. Can you just talk about what this whole week has been like since you're the only team from Philadelphia in the NCAA tournament? Like, was there more added pressure this week?
I don't think so. I think we just appreciate everybody being here. So we're getting that attention. And as we said, Maddie mentioned it, just the coverage that we're getting. Happy for all that. And just to represent, opportunities to represent, the city, represent our university is what's so important to us, stepping on the floor. So, and then doing our job so it can continue. And I can't say it enough. Nothing makes us prouder. For me, myself, like this program means everything. And our players feeling that and wanting the best for each other showed on the court today, and we want to see it continue to go.
What are your impressions about facing Florida Gulf Coast on Monday night?
Well, interesting. I only caught a little bit of the game live, but it'll be a quick reset. We told the team they have this evening, then we'll regroup tomorrow morning. you see what Florida Gulf Coast is capable of doing. They flipped it. The first half, it was more drive. Second half, it was more the threes. So it's going to be a lot of that one-on-one coverage, and being in position and working it out together with different screen action. But the reminder will always be we got to know who we are, what we're capable of, and work it out together.
Down here to Megan next, please.
Megan Mohart, Philadelphia Inquirer. You mentioned that Cleveland State, they're just continuing to fight. When you guys reached that 30-point lead, it felt like you guys kind of maybe got comfortable on the defensive end. You looked like you were frustrated at times with the defense. What was the message there, and how did you see your team respond to that?
Well, the message is always, play the possession, be involved, and it's not really easy when you see the scoreboard at that number. Players try and tell themselves like, oh, okay, it's a tie, but it really came down to just putting it back on them of what needs to be done in this situation, like the one-on-one coverage. Like, don't look over like, oh, was it a foul and whatnot. So it's just that ownership. And when I saw that they felt that and they were looking at each other, I felt, okay, we'll be okay as we move ahead, as opposed to just, hanging, being so proud of this win, of course, but not celebrating too early.
Got time for one or two more, John, and then right here.
Yeah. John Markson, Plain Dealer. Besides their fight, what else did you expect from Cleveland State, and what did you do to keep Leo somewhat under wraps?
Yeah, well, I think she did a tremendous job. Bella spoke to it. We had both Bella tag team Brooke and Bella on her. Lucy actually started on her, so we gave her our best shot, and she did a real nice job. And that's the whole thing. When it's your last game out there, you're going to leave it all out there, and she certainly did. But I did mention some of the other players. We kept them in check, and the biggest thing was on the rebounding end, just staying in position in order to keep them off the glass. So it was the one and done that allowed us to run a little bit more.
Chris Rim, the New York Times. The way Maddie shoots, like the way she kind of catches the ball up high and then doesn't bring it down, or she quickly brings it back up. Have you ever seen another player score in that way, and does that element of her game make her, more effective?
Yeah, Larry Bird was pretty good at it. So, yeah, exactly. I don't know if Maddie's watched any Larry Bird film, but her understanding of how hard it is for players to contest her shot when she keeps it high, just the control. But she's done a really nice job of doing that even off the dribble. It's not just on the catch, keeping it high, but you don't see it too often in the women's game for sure, and she's mastered it. Yeah, sure does.
Want to do one last one right back here? Did you have one?
Coach, early on in that game when it's like 8% from the field and like there's just not a lot of shots falling and it's still low scoring and stuff, and talked about the defense that was being played early and stuff. There was a timeout called, and then immediately out of that timeout, it just felt like everything was going in. What was maybe the adjustment made in that timeout? What was just going on in that timeout that allowed that to just go off like that?
I think it just allowed the team to settle. The recognition, as we said, the emotions of the game and the pace we were going, but just recognition of we were getting good shots. They were just not falling, but we were moving the ball nicely. We were playing aggressive D, so to stay on course with that. And again, it's always important when it comes from them, and I could hear them talking to each other. Brooke was saying it defensively, let's stay locked in. And then they all mentioned, continue to move the ball, look for your shots, encouraging each other. So they came out there, making the sub with Caitlin Oriole getting in there. She was just ready to let it fly. So stepped into that position. And I feel everyone, played their role nicely today. They took responsibility on the floor, and it allows us to play Monday night.
Denise, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll see
Thank
you
you
tomorrow.
all.